So the NSOC is a little different for next generation core services vis-a-vis like call handling systems. So next generation core services actually has an operations group. And so the NSOC functions as that first tier, right? They're a nice 24/7 desk. They take the call or get the alert or get the ticket opened in ServiceNow. They run their initial checks and then they escalate to the operations group. And so the operations group actually takes most of the actions as far as response. And if they can't solve it, they're functioning as a tier 2, maybe a tier 3, depending on kind of where they're at in the maturity model today. They'll escalate it up to essentially the implementations group. What's really different on NGCS is typically when you're getting to a tier 3 escalation, you're dealing with some kind of a dev person. On NGCS, not so much. On NGCS, most of what you're dealing with are low-level networking problems, low-level system problems, low-level virtualization problems, particularly networking. But it's very difficult to tell what it is, right? You've got a problem, great. Is that a problem because the networking is stuttering a little bit, because the session border controller or the phone switch is stuttering a little bit, emergency services routing proxy is having a problem? It can be very difficult to localize that quickly. And the monitoring can dial you in on it to an extent, but that initial response, having a really solidly trained operations group saves a lot of time in getting that back to function. Because one of the realities in NGCS is, you might have 17 phone companies coming into your system, as an example, or actually more realistically, you might have 400 phone companies coming in, 17 aggregators that aggregate those 400 phone companies. All of them are doing maintenance, right? Whenever. Do they tell you? Usually, whenever. And so you just have a lot of things changing in that environment at all times. And then you're pushing down to PSAPs, 60, 80, 100 PSAPs. They're all doing maintenance. They may or may not have thought to tell you they're doing maintenance. And they may be doing maintenance on their internal network, which causes a networking issue back to you. So, that ability to get that crew fully trained. And so we've moved a lot of that tier 2 functionality to a specific operations group just to focus on that. And then obviously you get into tier 3, you're still generally not at a development stage until you've exhausted at least a good 3 or 4 bites at the apple at tier 3, which is different than a lot of operations.